Welcome, low ego action heroes. That's me clearing my throat through the entire theme song because I've been talking all day. I'm so sorry about that. No offense to the person who wrote the theme song, but I'm dying today. I've been talking all day. Hey, welcome everybody. This is end of September 2021. I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. We're a full service CX and UX consulting agency. Check us out if you got some time. And this is episode 131, Understanding Blockchain, Crypto, and NFTs. And good Lord of your choice, I do not understand blockchain, crypto, or NFTs. So I have been so excited about this one for weeks. My boyfriend is excited. I hope he'll be listening or at least watching the stuff. Shannon is here. Hi, Shannon. So I am going to bring in our guest because I'm sure we're going to have a packed hour with so much to talk about. And if you are as confused as I am about these things, or you're wondering how they relate to UX or how you get into working in them in UX, we have the person that you need to ask. And I made the mistake of not asking you before the show the right way to pronounce your name. I think of you as Bettinna, but you tell me.
You got it right. It's Bettina.
Hooray! Then
All right.
everybody meet
Yay!
Bettina. She was a mentor at our Concentric conference earlier this year, and I'm connected to her on LinkedIn, but otherwise you are somewhat new to me, so tell us all about you.
Yes, my name is Bettina. You got it correct. It's spelled as Bettina. Everybody knows me as just Bettina. I'm the founder and creative director and UX expert of Betty Media, a creative agency that focuses on UX, web design, branding, film, for arts, business, and the blockchain. And so my company, Independent Blockchain Research, offers expertise in minting NFTs, Bitcoin integration, and consultation to clients looking to diversify revenue and be prepared for the Web 3.0. And
Web
so
3.0
our
is coming,
place,
everybody.
that's right. And so prior to my design career, I happened to had I was in finance for over 8 years,
Mm.
and so I worked for all the major firms. LinkedIn. I don't need to talk about it too much, but I left that world thinking I will never go back. When I went back to college and got my bachelor's at FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology, and so I got a design degree, graphic design, and a minor in art history because NFT will be part of it. We will talk
All of your
about art
worlds are
history as well.
colliding.
Exactly. And it just never dawned on me that would happen. And then one day, right after around college was ending, I got a project at City. Well, I don't know if I should say, but one of the banks, one of the major firms, and they wanted me to redesign one of their exchange portal. It was one of the major feat of my career. I was apprehensive and didn't want the job because I wanted to leave and start my studio right away. But I'm glad I did because that was the moment I heard about Bitcoin. One of the executives mentioned it back in 2013, but I didn't think of anything. It's like, what a nerdy little thing. I'm not interested. And 5 years later, like the universe. Somehow I'm watching something. It was around Thanksgiving. The YouTube, video is coming on, and I'm seeing a video of Andreas Antonopoulos, one of the major educator in blockchain and crypto and Bitcoin, who basically talked about the internet of money. And I said, oh, that's what it is. And then the next thing you know, the year I just was like, I went into the rabbit hole. And the first use case I was seeing was the crypto art scene. And I remember going to several events with Christie's and Sotheby's and they were talking about, this was like early 2017. And so they were interested because their clients were interested. And
Well, I'm going to
I
make you
made my
back up.
first investment that day. Yeah,
I'm going to make you back up
yeah,
because I
uh,
still can't figure out what blockchain is. So let's just start
exactly.
for, the Fisher Price version. What is blockchain and do I call it blockchain or the blockchain?
It's blockchain, just fine. Blockchain, remember back in the day, there were these distributed ledgers. Ledgers, ledgers. Of that as what's on the web. So think of it as blockchain happens to be decentralized distributed ledgers. And so the difference is between blockchain and databases and of distributed ledgers is blockchain is public. Anyone can create one, can create their tokens, can basically you see the transactions. And this is the first time we're seeing something, a technology that give access to people all around the world. And so financial firms have their own centralized distributed ledgers to keep record and data. And that's been a bit problematic at the same time. But this is the first time blockchain has existed for many the 80s. So it's an existing technology that's been around for decades. And what made it famous is because Satoshi Nakamoto, a person or persons, we don't know who the person is, decided to use this technology to create basically the Internet of Money, an electronic cash, but this time peer to peer without any financial centralized or any intermediary. And so you're in Italy. I know
I
that you're
am.
in Italy. I can
True.
I can send you, you know, coin, Bitcoin, Ether in seconds without any fees, without any intermediaries to tell us whether or not we should do it or not. In different jurisdiction, and it's borderless. It's tamper proof, meaning like you can't tamper with it. Something tampered with, you can see it. So that's the difference. And it's yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I have questions. I don't know about anyone in the chat room. Anybody has questions? Ask the questions. I want to learn more. So, one thing that confuses me is the volatility of cryptocurrency because i- i- I mean, it's not even like I don't even understand the volatility of non-cryptocurrency. I've been
Yeah.
watching the dollar versus the euro lately, and the dollar was doing really badly. Now the euro is doing better. I don't even know what that means. So, what makes cryptocurrency what makes a Bitcoin worth 30,000 one day and 6,000 another day? Help.
Yeah. 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 What happened was what's been happening is a lot of institutions are getting into Bitcoin, and so the more people get into Bitcoin, the more it goes up. And but also this is another interesting thing. If somebody loses their crypto, like it's not loses, but basically if they don't have access to their keys, basically just know that that rate of Bitcoin stays at the top. So the volatility was going to be expected. It's again, it's just like it's a bit like the gold rush.
Yeah, like what's the value
It's
based on?
yeah. Well, the value is based. This is funny. People are asking about the value. It's confidence, it's trust. But the thing about it is, it's the same thing with the dollar. The dollar doesn't have any, not backed by it, and that was what it was. Bitcoin was created. But the fact that when it comes to the dollar itself, the problem is central banks have printing the money, printing. That's why we're having a hyperinflation going on. So when you said that you were seeing so much rising happening with the euro and the dollar, it's because of the printing of the dollar. And that's a problem. So your money, our money, which is called fiat, the physical dollar that we all are used to, that has only existed a few centuries, really, has been so volatile, but at the same time, it hasn't been a value. They made it valuable. They made the perception that it's valuable, but it's not. I'm sorry, but that's really what's going on.
So
And
is
so,
just to jump in again, do coins and tokens have value because we agree they have value?
pretty much, I
Okay.
mean, some things. Well, I mean, it's
Like
really that's
if a
really
coin or a
what.
token goes out of style, then its
Well, yeah,
value.
there's some tokens that just ridiculous. Like there's like the Doge coins out there. That was supposed to be a joke coin. It was never intended to be anything other than what it is. It's joke coin. But you have speculators and traders wanted to have fun, and they do these pumps and dumps just to have fun. And if one of their favorite influencers in tech, we won't name who, but initials EM, will say something, and then boom, they drive it up. It's the same thing that happened with the AMC debacle. You know, you had like hedge fund companies who were driving it down. That's what hedge funds short, stocks. And so the guys at Wall Street Bets were like, no, we're going to drive it up. It's kind of almost similar to that. And so it's just like I said, usually when these things happen within crypto, we're kind of like, we're so used to it, we kind of expect it, and it's just another day. But to
Oh,
the outside world, you would think there's so much volatility. Oh my goodness. But it's really the media that's creating the fear. It's the same thing with the stock market. Oh my God, it's 1,000 points down, and boom, it's creating fear when in reality the stock market is still really high.
let me ask a
But
question
it's yeah.
from the chat room. Yeah, thanks for all of this. It's I need all the help I can get. So Shannon is asking,
Hmm.
I'm worried about government restrictions or intervention. Should I be?
Yes. One of the challenges I'm having as a UX expert is, oftentimes, I'm not being asked to come on to some of these talks. That's fine. I don't mind it because I'm a little bit too honest. I'm way
We
too
like
honest.
honest here.
Like you. Yeah. And so I've been challenging my industry all the time on some of these projects. And so one of the things that's been going on within the industry is whether or not the industry needs to be regulated or not. And where I think it needs to be regulated is definitely the exchanges. If an exchange has your private keys, yes. But I know, I know. Well, I'm going to explain why. If an exchange doesn't have your private keys, then you shouldn't be regulated and being asked KYC or KYC is know your customers. Banks have to follow those rules. The problem is some of these exchanges behave like a bank, and so oftentimes users are not versed in self custodial. What self custodial means is that they're managing their own crypto with their own wallets, their own cold wallets like a Ledger or Trezor with their private keys, maintaining their private keys and managing their. The problem is most people don't even know how to manage their passwords, and that's where we've been. The last couple of years I've been researching and seeing how people are managing, passwords and all of that. Oftentimes, I mean, think about it. A lot of people fear managing even also their finances. So the average customer, um, also do feel sometimes they want somebody else to be responsible for their finance. So I will say the individual, the users or customers would have to ask themselves, are you comfortable with handling all of this responsibility? And so there are decentralized exchanges. I don't think those decentralized exchanges need to be related. Um, because at the end of the day, they are decentralized, and there's a they've been around for quite some time now. But I think once the exchange explain the terms to the users and explain that, hey, this exchange is a decentralized. You need to manage your keys, your private keys. Private keys are like the master key, kind of like your door, your house. The landlord has a master key. It's the different experience versus if you own your home. And so that's really what it is. Do you want to own your home or do you want to rent? That's really one of the things you have to ask yourself. And it took me a long time to get there where I had to say, I don't know if everybody's going to have that confidence to feel comfortable to hold their private keys or manage their finances and hold, because at some I do believe there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be their own bank. That's really where it's going. It's going to be the coins of the world versus those who will be their own banks. That's real, with their own wallets, and they can do whatever they need to do. But the face of the world is going to be following what the laws are. And so the if a citizen of a country doesn't want the regulation, then they need to start looking at the laws. One of the laws is KYC AML. KYC, know your customer, and anti money laundering was enacted during the Banking Secrecy Act after 9/11. It was to combat anti money laundering. So banks had to basically know their customers. All this information on us has caused issues where, well, identity theft is running rampant. That's how hackers are able to do what they need to do. So bank robbing has basically become very sophisticated, basically, and they need our information. But there isn't any policy to protect our information. That's them. And the conversation been so much, oh, we need to figure out ways to help, gather identity and build these identity programs and all of that. But no one's talking about privacy. Few
Hmm.
are, few are, and that's where I feel like the UX folks needs to come in to start discussing why we need to protect the users and customers, because that's where the banking industry is, they have put money into cybersecurity, but not enough. And they too are swamped. And but at the same time, it's like it's a catch 22. You want to know your customer, but you should you be handling it? I'm in the boat of maybe we should go Estonia way. The country of Estonia was hacked back in 2007. Like the whole country was like completely brought down, supposedly by Russian hackers. And what the President Tumas Hendrik, hopefully I'm saying I'm pronouncing his name. He basically said that if people should be able to be the one to handle their data. So in Estonia, the country Estonia handles their own data, not the government, not corporations, not the healthcare industry, the people. You own data. If I give you access to my data, you only have a few seconds to to get that information, and then boom, I close it.
Hmm.
And so I think that's one of the things that you would think that countries will start adopting that, but as the president did say in one talk he did in Canada, he stated that it's because of will, political will. Few have it, and and that's one of the reason why we haven't discussed enough of privacy when it comes to users and customers in the financial sector.
And I'm going to jump in because we have questions in the chat room. So excuse me.
Yes.
Um,
Okay. Sorry.
no, thank you. First of all, let's recognize friend of the show, VTR, who has a podcast about this and donated $10 to the show and wants everyone to read the book, The Denationalization of Money.
I haven't read that one. That's an
and
interesting one.
um
Okay.
and does a podcast on this very topic. I'll put that message up again. Evidently it's the word build but spelled incorrectly on purpose. BUIDL is the
Mhm.
podcast. We've got some questions coming in through LinkedIn. Gaganpreet says, hold on, it rolled off my screen. And VTR, thank you for the wonderful donation to the channel. Thank you. Chocolate chips. I will buy chocolate chips. Um, Gaganpreet says, "Why do we need to have this ecosystem in the first place?" So,
Oh.
what do you think of that? Why do we need this stuff?
Well, there are different types of ecosystem. There's the Bitcoin ecosystem, and that right now is starting to grow. We'll talk about separately. The ecosystem that everybody is talking about is Ethereum.
Mm,
And basically, it has its own coin, Ether, and it has one of the well-known, what's running it is the smart contract within the ecosystem, and that's what basically mints able to mint NFTs. And so this is the big thing that's in the ecosystem. Yeah.
Thank
And
you again
so
for the donation. You don't have to do this,
yeah.
VTR. Thank you.
And so it's really exciting within the ecosystem because you get to see the power of creators and artists um, basically controlling their content, controlling what they are creating. And so it's a little bit different when, we'll take crypto art, for example, right? Again, there's no intermediary. However, you have the media focusing on Beeple. Beeple was a digital artist, one of our own, a designer, graphic designer, right? He's been doing this for a very, very long time. And he's worked just like us. He does the graveyard shift in many businesses, and he still does. But when he sold his piece for 64 million, because that was the big story, right? And Christie's was involved. Some people were asking, should Christie's be involved? Nah, they don't need to be involved. However, they do have a massive Rolodex of our collectors
Right.
going back from every country. I mean, yes. And so it the industry to kind of legit crypto art, even though crypto art has been in existence since 2013. So the ecosystem of crypto art has, just been amazing because it's been one of the greatest use case to show how artists and creators can do what they need to do. If you wanted to purchase one of my works, it'd be when there is no broker. Don't necessarily a Christie's or gallery. And that's the thing. That's the one of the things that's been the challenge in the world of the art world, because there has been this situation where people have not been able to get into the gallery world, right? We've heard about the horror stories where, why do some artists get the shine but some don't, there are several people who are on NFTs, who women first I've been seeing from the very beginning, even though the media have portrayed it as a industry full of men. That's not true. I've been saying this for a very long time, that from the beginning, who was driving that industry, the crypto art, has been women, girls
Let's
and
talk about
women.
that
And
because
the
I
one
don't totally understand crypto art or NFTs. Let's say I've got
yes.
this graphic I've made of my dog being a low ego action hero.
Yes.
now, wh-
Okay.
now, how do I make that? Now, I'm not going to, but how would I make that an NFT and why would anybody buy it? And then what can they do with it?
Well, the thing about the NFTs, okay, so let's first discuss what NFTs are. So the term, it's non-fungible Facebook, I wouldn't say diamonds, but again, it could be that too. But it's basically non-fungible token, and you could do it mint your. I mean, there's a lot of people who there were things that people minted that people never thought somebody would buy, and they saw it as, this is cute. I really like it. It's the same thing with me. I bought this meme like Basquiat back in 2017 called Rare Pepe Basquiat. I like the designer. There's a lot of people who love dogs. And so they could, I really like, and I like this, and I love, and I love, this could be something. And for you, I think you could do it. And so there's like Rareable Foundation. And what you do is you would basically download the extension MetaMask, get yourself some Ether, um, purchase some Ether, which is Ethereum tokens, or if you have other tokens, it's fine. And then basically, there is each platform is a little bit different, but you can basically you follow along and mint it, and basically the smart contract is pretty, you know, self-explanatory. The problem where we have been having issues is the fees, the gas fees. The gas fees has been fluctuating, and so if you mint, it could go for basically proof of stake. So you're paying for the transaction to be minted, and so for you, if you were to, it depends. Every day it's going to be different. A few weeks ago it was like from what I heard, it was up to $1,000. It was
Well, so if
ridiculous.
somebody,
But
if I make this into an NFT and somebody buys it, does that mean they just end up with a JPEG or a ping? A-
no, you can make it a different whatever you want. It's not JPEG really. They get actual it's a hash in the it's a, and actually to their wallet that says that they basically kind of think about it like a digital certificate, proof
Almost
that they
like
own this
getting
work.
something in a video game? Like if in a video game I get a sword?
No, it's kind of like you ever like purchase something, like let's say you purchase, like I remember just purchasing a Prada glasses, and you get like that certificate to say that this is a digital authentication that this is a
Okay,
Prada piece, a brand. This is the brand, and there is no copy of it, and that
right.
it's not a forged or anything like that. This is from the actual brand itself. It's kind of
Okay.
almost like that. That's pretty much. It's
So
kind of almost like it's
let's
the
say
same thing
you
with
buy this
baseball
from
cards.
me. If you buy this from me in some NFT universe, what can you do with that? Do you own the rights to it and I no longer have the rights to it?
Well, that's the question everybody's asking, right? Sometimes, I think the creator will still own the rights. Some lawyers said it depends, um, because the thing is that for what happened a couple of weeks ago, was it a couple? No, I should say a couple of months ago, somebody tried to NFT Marvel works. Marvel is still owned. The Marvel work, the universe, the characters are owned by Marvel.
Sure.
Marvel can actually say to different creators, "Hey, let's do an NFT. Let's mint an NFT of different characters. It's one piece and let it out there." They select which artist do it. Again, kind of like a baseball card, you know. So there's like rare baseball cards that is extremely rare that people want. Think of it as that. But you don't own the team. You
Sure.
don't own the
Sure.
brand itself. So it's kind of that's really how I can explain it. I wouldn't say that I would own the actual. a copyright and own your dog.
Right, right. You
It's
certainly
still
don't.
your work.
So let's
Yeah.
see. VTR, thank you for donating again. I promise I see your chat messages even if you don't donate. Hash function is like a unique identifier that is unique to the asset, like a fingerprint. Oh, Tina's frozen. Hopefully she will unfreeze shortly. Can people still see me? I never know if it's me or my guest. Do people still see me? Okay, you still see me, but she froze, right? I'm live. Yeah, she says froze. Okay, I'll just tell her leave and come back, please. Yeah, thanks VTR. And thanks to everybody. Yeah, sorry. We do get this sometimes. This is a live show and anything can happen. You might have noticed I'm not even using my regular mic today. That was being grumpy. So sometimes the technology deities are not on our side. Um, let's see. Hold on. Let me just tell her what to do. I'm messaging her on LinkedIn. Oh, I think she's back. Oh, except I'm not hearing you. Let me check. Yep, audio's on.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I hear
Can you
you
hear me?
now.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm going to use this opportunity to ask some more questions because people have
Yes.
questions.
Ask me.
What
Ask me.
challenges can blockchain and crypto overcome for our conventional transactional ecosystems?
Repeat that. Sorry. What challenges can
Yeah,
overcome
what
for
challenges
our?
can blockchain and crypto overcome for our conventional transactional systems?
Hmm. What challenges it can overcome for
Yeah,
our
so like what's going
conventional?
on in conventional transactional ecosystems that blockchain and
Well,
crypto can.
yeah. The remittance. The reason I'm in um crypto that really made me interested in that world was because the moment I heard Andreas Antonopoulos, again one of the educators in Bitcoin, I remember he explained that my family is from Haiti. I was born in Canada. I'm Haitian Canadian, so this is a bit personal for me. And about 11 years ago, there was the earthquake, and about $13 billion was raised for Haiti for the earthquake aid. And one of the a lot of donations were given, transactions were conducted to that money. We don't know what happened to the money, just completely vanished, right? And so some people said, some organizations misallocated it. Um, some people said it was stolen. It doesn't really matter. We just never knew what happened, right? And but in our end, as immigrants, because there's a massive Haitian population diaspora, we're not the only one. So there's Mexican diaspora all over the world. There's Venezuelans, you name it. A lot of us send money overseas, abroad, back home to our country, to our family's country. And one of the challenges is the cost of sending money. And recently we had to beg, like online, beg Western Union to void the fees on the recent earthquake. So that is the challenges we've been having. If I'm sending $100, I should not be charged $20, $30. And then when the recipient receives it, being charged again. So people don't fully understand how this affects all of us. It really does.
I think
And
that
this is
ties
why
into a
we're
question
closely.
that Shannon had. Maybe you can address this. It sounds like your answer might be going there. Her question or statement was, I feel crypto would be a leveling field to close the poverty gap if we could properly educate. To maybe tell us more about that.
Absolutely. I think what's been happening is that it's been difficult to educate because you have various individuals within the space that have their own ideas about what is decentralized and what is not. And so, people who are from traditional finance, um, in my perspective, are a little bit on the side of more on the business perspective and wanting to, you know, they much more focus on the wellness of the business, never the wellness of the customers, and that's been a problem. And so the problem is that they much more focus on the sound of a company. And the problem is we should not be having that conversation, right? The whole point Satoshi Nakamoto said Bitcoin was never for the banks. Was if you go to Satoshi Nakamoto institution.org, you can go and Google all of the writings and forum posts that this person did. They said it's this is for those who have been affected by trying to send micro payments. And that's why we have been folks, individuals like me, there's few of us in the space who are really for organization, are looking closely how making Bitcoin a legal tender has been extremely fascinating because, you know, the country itself is so closely similar to Haiti. They have issues with infrastructure, internet issues, massive poverty issues, violence. They didn't make the current Bitcoin a legal tender just be out of like all of a sudden. The people were already doing it, and Haitians are already using, in crypto trading. I'm in a couple of groups where Haitians are doing it. So those folks who are in crypto, turns out one of the research team that I've partnered with, organization, they recently showed me a data that they've been conducting periodic research and surveys, all of that. We found out that those who make about $20,000 to $40,000 are more likely to be in crypto versus those with means, with 100,000 and 200. They're not in really. So there's a perspective that these folks are in crypto when reality it's really those who did not have access, the unbanked. There's over what 2 billion people who are unbanked, and it's due to a combination of many things, and it's also due to monetary policies, geopolitics, you name it. And it's
Yeah, that
one of the
reminds me of
things
that
that we in
LinkedIn
us.
post that you said, where it's like, if you want to know about, if you want to get into blockchain and crypto and whatever, here's a list of things that you need to learn about and study. Geopolitical stuff, and you had that whole list over on LinkedIn. Everybody follow her over on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We've got two burning questions. One's mine and one's from the chat. Let me ask you this, because I don't want to forget to talk about UX, because we only have
No.
20 minutes left. And so we got a question that says, how can we as designers keep a check on the system's design? So let's turn it over to UX a little bit and say, what is our role in this type of research or design? Tell us more.
Well, one of the problems I've noticed, okay, so the space is driven by developers, right? And businesses are trying to move fast to try to build their own projects, right? And they are trying to find the best blockchain developers. A lot of blockchain developers, some of them are not really wanting to be involved with some of these projects because they just so, it's so, what's the word, unrealistic. And most of the time they want to do a token and all of that, so it's ridiculous. But One of the I think in UX, one of the challenges that developers have had is the how to create better experiences and interfaces. They don't have that background. And sometimes they like, well, I just want to focus on the back end. I just want to focus on the smart contract. And so I think when where UX can come in, folks in UX and researchers and designers, is start to actually build a relationship with the developers, like join forces. And that's why if you notice in LinkedIn, I've been doing that where quite a number of developers there where I've just been trying to understand what they need, trying to gather what they are what they may have seen or um, problems that they may have. Where UX also needs to come in is education. Businesses, I don't personally think that what's happening in business, like when it comes to enterprise business, a lot of them you would think that are educating users. I don't see them doing that. And I think user experience researchers and educators can help with that, but it requires to be a self starter to do it independently. I've been also thinking that we as UX folks should have an UX independent body where we don't. Problem is, it's just too much conflict of interest, and a lot of businesses are so focused on their side but not the users. And
Right.
I think we should. I don't know if I answered the question, but that part is really where is needed. Um, Education, understanding, um, password, no, the key management. That's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. Um, Maybe also educating also the those in policy making. I've seen so many folks who are in policy making, they're not versed on the tech, and I do think that those in UX may need to be versed a little bit on the coding side, on just taking a free class on Solidity. You don't need to be an expert, but if you are familiar with JavaScript, that's great. But seeing how it all works, that helps. Then that way you can be able to know what to do.
VTR is throwing all of his or her Bitcoin at me. I'm sorry, I don't know everybody's genders. So VTR says UX biggest role in crypto design interfaces that don't sacrifice security over convenience.
Yes.
It's the biggest challenge in the field, and Solidity is not secure.
Well, it's because one of the, I mean, there's like they're coming up with all sorts of different types of like program languages. So yes, this, I mean, especially the smart contract, I can see. I mean, if you familiar with smart contract, I do see it being vulnerable that it can be exploited. Again, I've asked lots of questions to developers, and so some of them have their own interpretation and ways to secure it. It's just extremely difficult. Um, but yes, completely agree. And also the cybersecurity folks. I think that's one area that I think that should be coming in where UX folks could join forces with the cybersecurity teams. But again, it's like I think a lot have been put on developers and programmers of team to do everything. And I
Right.
remember seeing a UX developer blockchain. It was just one of those things you're like, you wanted a unicorn? What, like, this doesn't make any sense. I had to challenge this person who posted this, and it was just like, this doesn't make any sense. And
It rarely does.
so this is what's happening in the States. It's like they're putting everything on the developers to build, and that's not how it works. And we've had like potential clients in blockchain who are, if you're going to, this is my take, if you're a business leader and you want to build a blockchain solution, whatever it is, I do think they have to know the tech itself. You can't come in and thinking that you know you could. Everybody wants to save the world. They think that the blockchain is going to save the world. That's not really what it is. I do think it's now challenging the financial industry and the governments to see what's going on in their systems. Do I think it's going to save everybody? No. But I think it's a start.
Well, let me
I think
ask
it's
you
a
this,
start.
just out of curiosity and just to understand some of the mechanism of this. If I decide I want a Delta CX coin, where do I start?
Solidity. You go on Solidity. Right. You can build your own blockchain and that too, right? And so basically, yeah, Solidity. You can program uh, your own, your own token with through Solidity. That's really what it is. That's that's yeah, and
But
you could do
technically
that
it
also.
doesn't it's not like if so if I were a company,
I've
I
done
have a
it
company.
myself too, by the way, just so you know. I've created my own token by, through Solidity once, and I was like, okay, this is
Now
it.
what?
So, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
you
like,
could
here's a
create, yeah,
question. If I create a Delta CX token and people start trading in it or using it, do I make any money from that? Do I benefit from this at all? Or
yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
just,
You can, yeah, yeah. You get incentivized from it. Yeah, that's usually what's happening. So, for example, like Brave browser is a perfect example. They have it. It's a utility coin. It's a competitor of Google browser, and so they have their own token. And so one of the great thing about Brave is they basically are doing what people have asked, meaning like sometimes if a customer doesn't want to see ads, they can choose to turn it on or off. So if you choose to see ads, you get paid that a token, and so it's pretty interesting. And so the company itself gets paid through that. They get incentivized, including creators can also get on there on the browser itself and start partnering with Brave, including the advertisers. So they get paid. Yeah, you can get incentivized by it. And same goes with Ethereum. They have the ecosystem. It's pretty much what it is. It's like that's what it's all about.
we should have made a Delta CX coin for this show. How long does it take to make a coin?
When I did mine was like it was like less than 30 minutes. It was like
We should have done this.
I thought it was a whole. It was one of those because the thing about it is when I did this, and it's really not. It's not that it's not that big of. It's like yeah, it's really ridiculous.
We should do
Yeah,
it. We should do
yeah.
it.
It's and it's not the token part is not that difficult. It's just making it's the marketing.
Right.
It's the
Like
same thing
who
with
cares about Delta CX coin and what would they use it for?
yeah, it's the same thing with Bitcoin. In the world of Bitcoin, we're kind of like Bitcoin has a issue with marketing, but it is the most secure out of all of them. I feel out of all the tokens, because you don't have a central figure. Satoshi Nakamoto removed himself themselves from the project, right? And so let it run. Now we have the Lightning Layer 3, which many people are starting to build upon, where you're seeing utilities and payments through Lightning. So right now, Twitter now have the Strike partnership, where you can get Sats. Small increments of Bitcoin is called a Sat, by the way,
Right,
Satoshis.
for Satoshi.
So yeah, so if you make a tweet and people like it, they can pay you small increments of Satoshi, and it goes into your wallet, Strike wallet. So that's another thing. So you're receiving it on your Strike wallet. This is the catch. It's custodial. So meaning like you don't own the private keys. You can't. Yeah, you don't control that. So they do. So it's kind of like a bank account basically.
Well,
Yeah.
VTR is back and says we should make a UX coin.
Everybody's trying to make a coin. It's just because they're like, this is not what it's all about. It's not, that wasn't what it. I made a coin, and I don't. I mean, it is what it is. But it wasn't meant. That wasn't what it was supposed to be. I think that right now everybody's trying to make a coin to compete with Bitcoin, and I think now Bitcoin have proven what since 2009 when it launched. I think it's will there be another coin to you know maybe Ether will stick around, but I all these coins coming out is maybe ridiculous. I do
There's
think that
something
some utility coins will be in existence, but nah, I don't think everyone's gonna have their own coin. It's gonna be regulated at some point.
I've got a question, and then the chat room has a question. My question is, do all coins have to be mined? Because you always hear about mining Bitcoin, and I know I have a computer that's powerful enough to mine Bitcoin, but I'm not doing it. So the first half of my question is, do all coins have to be mined? And is mining Bitcoins or other coins I hear it's bad for the environment because of all the
Yeah, yeah.
power it uses. Tell me more about this whole mining thing.
This is so interesting. So mining is basically the folks who basically make sure that it creates the block and invalidate and make sure that it's secure and all of that, right? And so one of the issues, I'm glad you brought up the environment, the biggest story. Um, Before we do that, there was a project. Someone said to me, they sent me an app from Germany. They said that I could mine from my phone, and it turns out it wasn't. They created a coin, and I could mine it, and it was not true. It was all BS. So, are there some sort of crypto that's out there that claims that's gonna you can mine it? Yes, but doesn't necessarily be legitimate. So just letting you know that. Um, so when it comes to the environment, one of the issues that I have is the statistics that's out there. Um, because a lot of the data is being taken from the miners, and one of the thing is that just because the miners produce the energy and making sure what they have to do as miners doesn't mean that they are the ones consuming. So that's another thing. So just the 70% of mining happens in China. Doesn't necessarily mean it's being the ones they're not the ones consuming it.
Hmm.
So the problem is that how do you track the consumption? That's the problem. And so it could be anywhere in the world. That's what Andreas Antonopoulos recently said. It was just like, how do you really kind of figure that out? What's been happening more and more, I don't know anyone, all the miners the folks who are mining from home, I don't know anyone who's doing from fossil fuel, from their own electricity. They're doing it solar panels, you know, all sorts of, renewable energy ideas. Um, I think the space has been very innovative and ways to ensure that there are sustainable ways to mine. But a lot of times that the media has not been focused on that. When it comes to China, in the situation where you heard, oh, they banned crypto, they banned not that's half truth, because what's going on is that China has been trying to basically make sure if you're going to mine, you're supposed to be on hydro.
Oh.
And so they have banned the inner Mongolia country area of China that they were using fossil fuel. And so they basically said they're banning it from there, but you have to be on hydro. Obviously, the Western media took it as China banned crypto, but not telling the full truth on what's really going on. And right now, China supposedly banned crypto again, and more than likely has to do with the energy consumption. And so right now they have basically stopped Alibaba selling rigs in mining equipment and that sort of thing. It has to do with the fact that they have a right now they're trying to make sure that they are following the terms that they signed with the international community to keep carbon emission low, basically. And so that's really what it comes down to.
So, if hypothetically we had a Delta CX coin, I could say this is not a coin you have to mine, you can just buy and sell it, or are all coins mined?
I will say legitimate coins. I mean, if it's on the blockchain, that's really what it's all about. I
Okay,
mean,
so if
that's
it's on the
what, yeah,
blockchain, then
that's
somebody's got to be doing this mining.
this mining. And so, is mining worth it? The short answer is yes. They said it's complicated, so that I will say. But how can I say this? It's just it's Bitcoin mining is also the whole point of mining is to it's a whole.
It's a
I
whole other
mean,
topic.
well, yeah, it is a topic. It's a whole other topic. But the thing about it is, I do think that you have to mine it. It's that's the whole process of it because you want for it to be on the public ledger. It's on the blockchain, and for that to that's you want that basically a miner has to add it on the blockchain. That's really what the process is.
Okay.
And so if you're saying if you make a coin, how how are people going to see the actual transaction? So the transaction is it that's really what they do. They have to keep the process of adding the transaction onto the block to for you to see it. So if you go on to like let's say blockchain.com to see all of the transaction, that's basically it tells you if something if it shows you all the transactions that's been mined and what how much that the miner was incentivized.
Okay, I'm getting there. Thank you. We're unfortunately
Yes,
running out of
I know
time.
it's.
Can you believe we're out of time already? So we're going to. I know. Where did it go?
Hopefully, I explained. Hopefully, because the thing is, it's just one of those tricky questions because I could say to you that so much. I know you want to do your own coin. You
I'm just
can.
playing with the idea. I don't really want my own coin. I'm just
And
trying
you
to. I thought maybe if
should.
I
No, no,
started
no.
with my own coin, I could understand this thing a little bit better. But I'm not going to make a Delta CX coin. Please don't worry. And even though I have a computer
You
that could
should. No, I'm
mine,
just kidding.
even though I have a computer that could mine, I'm not going to use it. We don't have a solar panel or whatever. So I'm going to lay low for now. But we're gonna have to unfortunately wrap up. I hope VTR will have you on his or her show.
Thank
John,
you.
and we're getting
Hopefully, I
thanks from
answered.
the chat room. John says Bettina is the best at explaining this stuff.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. I hope I did. I mean, that was one of
It
the
was
things I
very
was just
helpful. And I also
hopefully
want to
making
tell
for.
people if you are watching the YouTube video in the future, somebody should be watching the chat because VTR was like live blogging the whole thing with their opinions on stuff. And so there's a whole counterpoint I didn't have time to read out loud, but hopefully people will watch the YouTube version and consume what VTR was saying as well. But Bettina, we always let our guests have a little closing statement and just remind everybody where can we find you? How do we follow you? Where do we hire you?
You can right now. Currently, we're basically redesigning bettymedia.com. So keep a lookout for that. But you can find me on I'm mostly on LinkedIn. So linkedin.com/in/ Bettina Ettinna. And you can also email me anytime at hello@bettymedia.com if you have any questions. I know there's a lot of challenges going on in regards to blockchain and trying to understand it. So that's one of the things that I'm trying. I try to simplify as much as I can for people. Sometimes it's a bit tough, because of the way the industry is. But yes, if you have any other questions, feel free to email me, and I can try to explain it. And like, what else? And if you're interested in minting and you're wanting to mint, if you want a token, do a token. I can explain that to you, and I can explain to you smart contracts as well and all of that. So yes.
Sounds like you need your own YouTube channel that we should be plugging.
I thought about that at some point. Well, we will do that. But
Yeah, if I
it's
can help
fun.
you out, let
I
me
commend
know.
you. I
Yeah, I'll
commend
give you
you.
some
It's
tips.
crazy. Yeah.
But anyway, everybody find Bettina, especially on LinkedIn, Bettinna. Remember the extra N at the end.
Hmm.
I sometimes forget it. I apologize. And
No problem.
thanks to VTR for all of your wonderful donations today. I also want to
Oh,
take a
thank
quick
you.
moment to thank all of the people who support us on YouTube by being a mid level, low ego action hero and higher from the YouTube subscriptions: Anita, Chang, Darren, Irena, Jordan, Michelle, Nikki, Ralitza, Ray, and Solomon. And of course, to our junior low ego action heroes as well, who pay $3 a month to help support the YouTube channel. That all goes right to delicious chocolate chips and fun overlays for the show. Bettina, thank you again. I'm sure we'll have you back when the questions pile up, but
Me too.
have a super autumn, and everybody follow her and hire her.
Ah,
Thanks. See you
thank you
soon.
again so much. See you
Bye.
soon. Bye.
Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are